Don't know anything official. I think that's something to ask the Stars about. Shane has a right to appeal a sentence that's been handed down, but I'm not sure what the Stars' official position is.
Does it surprise you at all, James, that he's going to appeal it?
Look, again, I don't know. I don't know the specifics of the incident. I haven't seen the whole incident. I've only seen clips of it. And really the detail of what was discussed in the hearing, again, that's I didn't attend the hearing, and it's not appropriate for me to be there. That's an issue for the Stars in terms of whether they appeal and Shane appeals.
Sorry, what did you think of the clips you saw?
Ultimately, what I was more concerned about is that we have a report and we have sanctions that have been handed down by a Code of Behaviour Commissioner today, and we don't condone that in any way. Shane's acknowledged that he wasn't necessarily proud of what he did in the circumstances, and obviously from our point of view, we don't like to see players but contravening the Code of Behaviour or being suspended.
So from what you've seen, do you think Marlon and Shane both overstepped the mark with their aggression?
Well, I think the Code of Behaviour Commissioner has made a determination in respect of Shane. Whether he appeals or not's another matter. Marlon Samuel's case hasn't been heard yet.
In terms of how it looked from what you saw, though, I mean, what did you make of it? If you were, say, a spectator and looking in on that, what did you think that incident looked like?
To be honest, I thought it looked like two teams playing in front of a very big crowd in a highly charged environment with a lot at stake. That was my observation of it, and from time to time things cross the line in that sort of scenario, but I think if you look back over the course of the Big Bash League and indeed across state cricket and Australian players, these sort of things are isolated incidents.
But to be fair, it's not a good look for the game, is it? An altercation like that.
Oh, I'm not in any way condoning breaches of our Code of Behaviour. But what we saw last night was a huge crowd at the MCG, a record crowd for domestic cricket, 46,500 people there, and two teams which had a lot at stake, basically vying for top of the table in the Big Bash League, and I think it's a sign of where the Big Bash League's at.
Big Bash has been particularly focused on maybe attracting kids and families. Do you think there's a bit of an extra responsibility to behave properly and set an example for kids?
Yeah, look, players are entertainers. They're putting on a show, but first and foremost, they're also sportsmen who are competing for big prizes. And I think whilst we can stand here and say that we don't condone anything that happened last night, this sort of thing is probably something that only inspires a greater rivalry between the Renegades and the Stars and creates greater interest for the Big Bash League.
James, it doesn't seem to me, I'm not sure about everyone else here, that you're taking a very dim view of their actions last night.
I take a dim view all of the time. I've been consistent throughout my career as Chief Executive that I take a dim view of breaches of our Code of Behaviour where players are found guilty. That's a position that I've been entirely consistent on, and I'm consistent with that today. I don't in any way condone behaviour that sees players fined or suspended.
So you're saying that the incident was not acceptable from your point of view, but also not surprising?
What I'm saying is that the Code of Behaviour Commissioner, who has sat down and heard this case, has made a decision. I don't think that it was necessarily. I haven't seen. So I wasn't there at the game, so I don't have that perspective. I've seen clips of it on the news this morning, and from what I saw there, obviously it's not a great thing for the game to see an altercation between two players out in the middle of the ground. But there was clearly a lot of passion out there, and there was a lot at stake.
So you don't think there was anything malicious in the incident from either player?
I don't know. I'm not in a position to comment that. I don't even know what the words were that were exchanged between the players.
But
One
the
match
words
ban.
don't matter, do they? I mean, you can't say a lot of passion. Warnie's the biggest name in Australian cricket still. CA in the BBL put a lot of effort into him as a promotional tool. you can't grab people. He must know that at 43 that you can't physically grab an opponent. You can't blame that on a big crowd and passion.
Well, no doubt. Shane said he's reflected on his actions, and as I understand it, he's spoken about that. The Code of Behaviour Commissioner has had an opportunity to reflect on those actions, and he's taken a position based on the evidence in front of him. I think that's what the Code of Behaviour is there for. It's there to draw the line, and where a player is reported, then there's a process of natural justice that we go through to determine an appropriate penalty.
And one match and some money, do you think that's appropriate?
Well, the Code of Behaviour Commissioner thinks that's appropriate, so if he thinks that's appropriate, then I do.
Okay, folks, if we have maybe 2 more questions on this, if you've got any other topics, we'll then move on. Otherwise, I need to move James on as well.
Are you happy with Warney, to continue next summer, given that he's got this checkered behavioural record?
Look, I think the job that Shane has done in the Big Bash League over the last 2 seasons has been absolutely phenomenal. I think he's still holding his own as a player, and he's a great promoter of the game. He's done an incredible job. This doesn't checker his career or future as a player. I think what's of more interest to all of us is whether he wants to play and still feels he has something to offer.
Do you think the Big Bash is now seen as more as a serious business rather than just sort of an entertainment type thing?
I hope so, John, because I think there's never been any doubt in the players' eyes as to the Big Bash League and the opportunities that come from that. I think there are individual opportunities for players in terms of putting themselves on a big stage and being seen in other parts of the world and being offered contracts, but at the same time there is also the opportunity to qualify for the Champions League, which as we saw at the end of last year with the success of the Sixers, it is also a big event and a global event that provides yet another opportunity for players to put themselves up there and win serious prize money as well.
James, just with the one-day series starting this weekend, there's been a bit of criticism that the Australians have picked a far from full-strength team. What do you make of those criticisms?
Oh, look, I think John Inverarity's explained the situation pretty well. Michael Clark's obviously recovering from a hamstring injury, so is taking a deserved break to do that. A couple of other players are being rested, certainly players that have had a pretty heavy workload over the last 6 months or so. So that's a matter of I guess man management. But nothing in what is being done here moves away from what the overall priority here is, and that is for Australian cricket teams to be successful. We're taking a big picture view of managing people so that we're right to win the big events and the big occasions, and from time to time we'll need to manage our people accordingly.
That big occasion, obviously, the World Cup in 2 years' time. How do you sort of see one-day cricket tracking heading into that, and are you sort of confident that you'll get the commercial and spectator success?
I'm incredibly confident in the World Cup. I think that the last World Cup in 2011 in India was the most successful World Cup that's ever been held. It certainly had more viewers than any previous World Cup. I've got no doubt at all of the strength of one-day cricket, and really it is built off the back of the World Cup. It's the big event, and we as an organisation, Cricket Australia and our selectors, are more and more focused on the World Cup and planning and preparing. And if you look at other sports, you look at football, for example, the round ball football, that's exactly how Australian teams and other teams all around the world do things. They are preparing themselves for World Cups which come around every 4 years.
But just commercially, you think it'll be a success, and like, people still embrace the tournament itself?
The World Cup in 2015 will be a huge success.
One last one, just on the TV rights, and obviously on the open market now. Are you still confident you'll get a big deal you're hopeful?
We're now in the midst of a process, I guess, of exploring the market. The indications for us are that there's a lot of interest in our rights, and I guess that will be fully tested over the course of the next few months as we work through our process, which will be very thorough and rigorous, and we've got a really good team together to work through that process, and looking forward to discussions with all the relevant media networks.
And on in the box seat, obviously,
You can make judgments or determinations on that. It is true, and it's open knowledge that 9 have a matching right as part of their current agreement with us, but I don't want to go into any more detail other than that.
And now that the test summer is over, are you 100% comfortable with how the rotation policy is working?
Oh, look, I think there's always ultimately a process, and I think to some extent people are getting used to the concept. But I just come back to that main point. The feedback we get from the Australian public, and I understand there's a tiny bit of criticism, say, around the one-day team right now, but the big picture in the feedback we get from the public is that they want nothing more than the Australian cricket team to be successful, to be the best in the world and to win. And that's what the selectors in there and our high performance team are doing. They're managing our players to ensure Australian cricket teams have the best possible chance to be the best cricket teams in the world.